I'm Jim Farmer with Georgia Voice.
Hey Jim.
Hey,
Hello,
Luke. Hey,
Jim.
Mason. I really enjoyed the film. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Luke, can you sort of talk about, the inspiration for this and how it all came up?
Yeah, I'm originally from Colorado. My father was in the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, so I grew up going to rodeos and just love Western culture. I discovered in 2016 the subculture of the International Gay Rodeo Association, and they just really warmly welcomed me with open arms, and it was such a beautiful experience and this sort of like electric charge of belonging to become part of this community. First, it started with a book of portraits, and as I was working on the book, I started writing a script, just kind of reflecting my experiences as well as those I was photographing. Um, and then now we have the movie that Mason so beautifully stars in, bringing these characters to life. Yeah.
It's such an amazing film. Were both of you at the Toronto and Frameline screenings?
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but Luke, you were there, yeah?
I was at both, yes.
What
Uh,
was it like premiering at Toronto and then going on to another success over the weekend with Frameline?
We also just did Rain Dance in London, which was incredible. The That was one of my favorites so far, just partly because I was really nervous of just how the audience overseas would respond to national anthem. But I think it was a beautiful epic theater. It won an award, and the audiences were just so warm. And TIFF, South by, Frameline, all of our audiences have been very, very loving and receptive. And I think just really feel like it's a moment where we really need a film like this, is the sentiment I'm feeling. So that has been very moving.
Exactly. Mason, talk to me a little about Carrie. Can you sort of talk to me about Carrie, where Carrie is, as the film begins?
Well, Carrie is an amazing character. She's sort of this composite of many of the people in my life that helped me not just as a queer person, but just as a human being. I think Carrie is so much of my mother and family members and people that were there and guided me as a person that didn't necessarily have to be queer elders in the community, because unfortunately there aren't many like there, especially in the for trans people like me, like that I can count on two hands the amount of trans elders that I've experienced in my lifetime. And most of them were people that I became connected with or became friends with now at this point in my life, not necessarily when I was younger and in need of that kind of, guidance. Um, and so a lot of what I loved about this character and what makes her so warm and what makes them so special is all baked into the script and all, an invention of Luke's, but very much so she is kind of this, yeah, love letter to anyone who helped me to connect with my humanity and kind of grow into myself and learn that it was okay to be a complicated individual.
Something
I
that
was
I love about what Mason brings to life in the film too is just the soulfulness of that character, and not only her sense of humor, but also the soulfulness and how that sort of is the kind of polar opposite of what Dylan's getting from his biological mother at home. So that's something that Mason really brought, the sort of nuance of that, and I think you can feel that in the film.
I was so fascinated by the House of Splendor, for the community of, of those who are there, as well as the warm embrace of others who are coming. Can both of you talk a little bit about the House of Splendor and what it offers to all those involved?
Mm. Well, House of Splendor is really based on real places that I've lived at. Some people watch the film and feel like it's a fantasy or something, but queer and trans people have been around since the dawn of time, and they've been creating safe spaces with each other since the dawn of time. So it really reflects that. I lived in Tennessee on a queer commune called Sassafras, and that was you know, a big inspiration point. I've lived at a few others as well, and so it was sort of a culmination of those experiences living in these places that really offer a safe haven for people that are experiencing housing insecurity or are, you know, kicked out of their homes or just don't, you know, there's also this kind of misconception that all queer people want to live in cities, but many queer people, you know, can't afford to live in cities or just simply do not want to live in cities. That, you know, they really identify with the more rural uh, culture and landscape. And I think that's something that's so beautiful that I hope comes across in the film is that there's these wide open landscapes that really, you know, there's no markers of who or what to be. And that's something that's a beautiful metaphor for a lot of queer people kind of finding and building their lives in these places.
Yeah, what I find remarkable about what this film accomplishes is it's such a story about the human experience, and those characters really meet everyone where they're at. There's such this like embrace and warmth to the actual community that doesn't feel defined by very specific and like limiting, you know, things. I feel like the House of Splendor and I feel like National Anthem both are things that should be experienced by people that are queer, but also people that aren't, and they can equally find, you know, something that's as liberating as, you know, a gay or a trans audience member might find, because I truly believe that like our community has the ability in so many ways to reach across the table and make, you know, straight cisgender people feel liberated and feel seen and feel like they don't have to fit into really narrow boxes and really rigid ideas of what masculinity or femininity is. You know, they don't need to abide by arbitrary binary, you know, pressures that society sort of enacted on everyone. And that's one of the like really clever things that I think this film kind of exposes in a beautiful and non, you know, didactic way. It's really like slick and just baked into how they all interact with Dylan and interact with everyone sort of in the world around them. Like we belong just as much as anyone else does, and we are as capable of being connected to as a film that's about, you know, a group of straight people that are on a farm or straight people on a ranch. You know, like they're it can do as much for both audiences, I think.
Wait, they're not straight at House of
So,
Splendor?
well,
No, that was so beautiful and eloquent, Mason. I haven't heard you say that before in any interviews, and I appreciate that you articulated that because I think that that's something that is I'm finding as we're sharing the film with more people that is something that's really coming across through the character of his mom, that sort of the proximity to queerness is what opens up her heart and mind to this idea that just like we don't necessarily have to live in these boxes that can't really contain any of us. So yeah, I love that you articulated that.
I think I have time for maybe two more questions. Luke, I have to ask you about Robin Lively, who is so amazing. I mean, the cast is amazing, but Robin Lively has a difficult role. Can you sort of talk about casting her and what she brings to Fiona?
Robin is such a legend and she's done so much and it's really remarkable to me the way that she sort of you know brought so much to this character and kind of a lot of people don't even recognize her. It's like a transformative experience or a portrayal for her and I love that she really connected to the experience of being a mother. She is one and I think that it is a very tough role to play in terms of that, you know, it was very important to me for every character in this film to have dignity and respect and for no one to fall into an easy or like lazy cliche. And she was really on the same page with that we needed to feel that texture from her and that, you know, you think that she's going to go one way but then she kind of goes another. And there's some scenes that just really blow me away from her performance and I think that people will be really thrilled to see this other dimension to her.
Exactly. Final question, and this is for both of you. Luke, you mentioned it earlier, but this, with all this going on in the country right now, anti-LGBT legislature, anti-drag sentiment, why is this film so important right now?
Well, Mason, I think you speak really eloquently to this, so I'll let you go first.
Okay. Um, I think that this film is sort of the antidote to um, a lot of the things that are out there that are separating people and kind of turning everyone against each other. This film is about compassion and about love and about connection and really taking people in for what they are and meeting people where they're at. And I think that so much of our media and so much of our politics right now are really fixated on creating an enemy, specifically, creating an enemy of the queer community, of the trans community, and trying to give people something to fear. And I think that what this film does beautifully is show that we are, as complicated and interesting and normal and boring, as any other heteronormative cisgender person might be. And this enemy that the media is really trying to create as a scapegoat to distract from all the litany of failures that politics is sort of trying to avoid actually grappling with right now. It's just such a beautiful example of like what the queer community is and what I think we strive to be. So I really hope that all kinds of audiences can come and see this film and connect with it and hopefully find something within it that really makes them feel seen and feel valued and not feel like they have a target on their back constantly, because it can feel like that quite consistently these days.
That sounds good. I'm being asked to wrap. Thank you all so very much. I really enjoyed this film, and it was nice talking to you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.